Thanks everyone for joining us today. Please raise your hand if you have questions for the coach, and we'll try to get to everyone's questions. Jackie Powell.
Hey, Coach, I didn't realize we were getting you today, but we get you today. So question for you is, how was the energy in practice today? And how is it being on the West Coast?
Oh, it was really good. Energy was really good. It was, a little slow to start, maybe just a little tiny bit, just, from us being a little tired from the trip, but they really picked it up. It was great. We had a good practice.
Great. And I know that in this Zoom, I think we're going to be talking to Rashonda. So I wanted to ask you, how is she doing health-wise, and what's something she can do to step up for you all in this game?
She's looked good health-wise, and I think in terms of her stepping up, she's doing everything that's being asked of her. She's really been a good leader. She's really been vocal. She grabs people, pulls them aside if she has little tips for them. She's been a great vet for us. So just continuing to do that.
And just to expand upon that a little bit, I mean, you've known her since she was in college. You were her tutor, I think. So
Yep.
How, from seeing her as a college student to seeing her now as a vet, what type of growth, have you seen from her? It's been a long time.
Yeah, I mean, she's come a long way. She's always been vocal. She's always been a leader. But her understanding of the game, she played a pretty specific role at Cal, and she's grown so much in terms of her skill set, in terms of her understanding of kind of the gray areas, no pun intended, within offense and defense. There's a lot that you just kind of pick up over time if you're paying attention, and Rashonda has been. So yeah. In terms of personality, she's very much the same, which is great. I don't ever want that to change. But yeah, basketball wise, she's come a long way and continues to be a really good leader.
Thanks so much, Coach. I appreciate it.
Erica Ayala.
Thanks. Hey there, Coach. I just wanted to ask you a little bit about, kind of the approach going into the playoffs specifically. On the one hand, it's another basketball game, but there certainly are different implications than you and your group of players have ever experienced before. In what ways are you addressing that head on? And kind of, what is the mentality there?
Yeah, my first go around as a head coach, but I've been there, through the playoffs as an assistant. So it's nice to be able to harken back to that experience. And as far as the, effort, energy, all that stuff, everybody knows that it has to be, at an 11 out of 10, pretty much at all times. And I think that everyone continuing to do what we do more consistently is always going to be the goal. And I think that, the attention to detail has to be really, really high, obviously, in any game in the WNBA if you want to win. But in a playoff game against a veteran team who's done this a lot of times, it's going to be vital that we're locked in on the small details of our scout, of our offensive and defensive schemes in general. It's just going to be really important that the attention to detail and the consistency.
Jeff Magliochetti.
Thank you. Good evening, Coach. Thank you for joining us tonight. You were watching film on Phoenix even as the second game was wrapping up, as you told us yesterday. So when you went back and watched that film, what's the biggest thing you want to do differently that you didn't do the first 3 times around against Phoenix? What's the biggest thing you want to do differently this time around?
I'd like to score. That would be wonderful. We didn't score very well at home, and we were missing some people, and but this team is more than capable, even being a couple hands short of scoring. And I think that that's the short, kind of tongue in cheek answer. And obviously defensively, we've got to swarm more. We've got to, as you guys have heard me say a lot, we've got to force people to their second and third options, not just individuals, but also their team, what they're looking for in a given set. So yeah, I mean, it's, unfortunately for the next few days, you guys are going to hear me say the same things I've been saying all year. That's kind of the name of the game with us.
Perfectly fine. And you mentioned on Friday that, players who you said Natasha Howard certainly stepped up. We're talking to her shortly. You said Taj Howard stepped up. You said Sammy Whitcomb stepped up in terms of vocal leadership and accountability. Has that carried over the first few hours in Phoenix?
No question. I can't leave out Benijah. That in that trio, the most vocal or Benijah's the most vocal by a country mile. And then I would say, Sammy and Tosh have really stepped up.
Mm-hmm.
But Benijah's consistently been, our most vocal player. And Tosh and Sammy have kind of found their own ways to contribute and lead. And I think, Sammy's really finding her voice right now. But Benijah's had her voice for a while. And I think that now it's even more intense and intentional. She's been great. So yeah, I'd say all three of them, they all lead in a slightly different way, but we need it all.
Speaking of the way Benijah has stepped up, was there any sort of turning point in the season where you really began to see her step up as a leader? Because it's been clear that she's become a leader of this team. She's been very vocal during our availability with her. She addressed the crowd prior to Friday's game. So was there a bit of a turning point where you looked at Benijah and said, like, this is a leader of our squad? This is almost, for lack of a better term, captain material.
Yeah, I think we knew in training camp, we knew who our leaders were. It's definitely an important part of picking a captain or a leader is that they earn it. They go out and they take it. You're asking for trouble, if you give somebody the keys to the car and they're not ready to drive. And both Sammy and B have been ready to go from the start, even though, they haven't necessarily occupied that role in the past. They've both been willing, hungry to learn and listen and get better. And, there's moments where, all of us come up short in leadership because everyone is still learning and growing. We're all kind of doing that together. And so I think that the most remarkable thing about what they've done and what they continue to do is the way that they respond, the way that they respond to being called up by myself, being called up by teammates. The whole team really has just been fantastic in terms of their response to adversity and, people asking for more.
Appreciate your time and insight, Coach. Thank you for joining us.
Got it.
Thank you, Coach. Next up. Please raise your hand if you have questions. Jessica.
All right. Good evening. Good to see you both. So Rashonda, first for you, I want to know, how are you feeling? Because I know you've had a bit of a cold or a virus, so told us about, or I don't know. And second for you, I'm curious to know, and this is something that Erica's really been asking, and I think it's really brilliant, which is, we've been trying to hear from all the different players, what were the actionable items that you wrote on the board on that day before you guys played against Washington? What were some of the things that you wanted your teammates to hold you accountable for? So sorry, that's a two-parter there.
Okay, to answer your first part of the question, I'm doing great. Look at me.
Wonderful.
I'm back with. Always happy to be back with the team, Tasha. I'm sorry. I'm always happy to be back with the team. And secondly, to answer your second question, something that I wrote on the board was to bring it, no matter what, push through. One of the things that, one of the things with us being a young team is something don't go as right, we just stop. So just pushing through, even if it doesn't work out as planned. And thirdly, one of the things that I wrote on the board was to be a vet. Understand that I've been in this situation before. This is nothing new to me. So when Walt said he needed a leader or need somebody to step up, I got to step up to the plate because I'm a vet.
I love that. Thank you. Thank you for sharing. And did I say something, Natasha? And for you, Natasha.
Yes,
I'm an old lady.
Yeah.
Oh, well, so I want to know from you, Natasha, the first time that you faced the Mercury this season, I know you were still trying to sort of get used to things. And Walt told us that you were still learning to trust your body and your knee again. So I want to know now, it's been a bunch of weeks since that series in August. How do you feel now when it comes to confidence in your knee and confidence with going up against someone really physical like a Brittany Griner?
I feel confident 100%. Well, not 100%, 1,000%. I'm bouncy now. I'm back bouncy again. How I was before my injury. I'm more mobile. I don't even think about my knee anymore. I just go out there and just play. I don't even think about nothing besides just playing, just being free.
You see it, Jack. You see it.
Yeah, but I think what's interesting about that is you said that at that time against the Mercury, you were thinking about it. That was something that maybe was holding you back.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, I was thinking about it. Like don't get me wrong, I was thinking about it because I wasn't, as confident, as comfortable yet playing, making certain cuts and stuff in the beginning. But like now, just getting my body strong, getting my legs, my knees strong, my legs strong, just like and also my mental when it comes to that too. So without me even thinking about it, I'm good to go.
Final one from me for you, Natasha. So, the Mercury should be getting ready to see a different Natasha Howard than they saw in August. Is that sort of the vibe here?
Absolutely. This is the playoffs. Nobody haven't really seen me actually, perform how I did a couple years ago, but like now I'm ready to go.
Go hard or go home, literally.
Right, do or die.
I appreciate the energy from both of you. Thank you.
Thank you.
You're welcome, Jack.
Erica Ayala.
All right. Thank you much. Rashonda, if I may start with you, please. And thank you. S'il vous plaît. I wanted to go back to that Washington game. Coach was letting us know that he had called a timeout, and he used the term, I believe, that the team took the timeout and that it was something that he and the coaching staff just sat back on. Thinking about now you stepping into that veteran role and that being one of the things you wrote down, can you walk us through from your perspective what it was to see this particular New York Liberty team take that timeout?
Well, one of the things that I really appreciate about the coaching staff is that they give us opportunities to show our growth. They give us opportunities to come together. And going back to what I wrote on the board, a vet, just because I may not be on the court at that time does not mean that I'm not a vet or I'm not a leader or I can't lead from the bench or I can't be vocal. So with that being said, with the coaches taking a step back, we knew that we've been through the situation before and we wanted to be better and grow. And I think them taking a step back and us calling the timeout was just showing our growth of us realizing to things and adjusting to it.
For sure. And Tasha, I want to come to you for this. I know that we have spoken, I particularly have asked you a lot about that leadership. And I just want to know, in what ways do you think the focus for yourself on leadership and being more of a vocal leader and leading by example matched with your playoff experience? In what ways has that already paid dividends to this young team, or how do you hope to incorporate that into, as you said, win or go home game?
Absolutely. It starts off in practice, and I've been doing a good job of being more vocal in practice. Telling people if they doing something wrong, in a nice way that they will understand it, because I'm not a mean person at all. And but just being more vocal on the court, especially for like defense. I love defense, so I definitely have to make sure everybody's on the same page on defense, because if you're not on the same page, we could be down 20. So we got to make sure we're on the same page, even on the offensive floor too as well. We got to be on the same page too. And like even today, I was vocal today, telling people where to go, yelling like, "Come on, help me!" I'm just yelling. I don't care. I'm just yelling.
I love that. I love that. And I'll put this up to both of you, especially since Tosh, you gave me that in with defense. Auntie loves some defense. But I wonder when it comes to being able to lock down on defense, how does that also play into this team thinking about pace? And I'm not just talking about possessions per, but also truly controlling the timing, the tempo, the cadence of a game.
That's a great question. But I would definitely have to say, with it being playoffs, a lot of people probably think we wasn't going to be here. So we really don't have anything to lose, just things to gain rolling into next season and stuff like that. But just to go out there and just continue just to be ourselves and play our game. And I feel like in that Washington game, that was a glimpse of what we're capable of. And we were very consistent with it. And with this next game coming forward, we want to play for each other and just lay it all out on the court.
Jeff McIntyre.
Thank you. Good evening, both of you. Thank you for joining us tonight. Natasha, my first question is for you. Coach Hopkins has mentioned repeatedly that you become a more vocal leader, and you yourself have just admitted that, even if you're self-described not a mean person out there, but you have become a more vocal leader out on the court in practice. So what's given you the confidence to find that voice and find that spark as we enter the postseason?
I know it's important, having this Laney and Sammy saying something. We need more than just those two saying something to us. So and I feel like at this time right here, it's time for me to step up and be that leader. Because I've been to the playoffs 7 times.
Okay, toot your horn in. Okay,
I'm not trying to toot my horn like that. I'm just saying just being around different teams and how their veterans stepped up to the plate, and I feel like just gaining that experience from other teams and bringing it here, and also giving it to my team right now, and just making sure that we, like I said, we all on the same page. And this is crunch time. Like this team, like this young team, this is their first time being in the playoffs. So me and Sammy and whoever, Greg, we all been in this experience before. So we have to guide them. We have to guide them in the right way that we want to, so we can get this victory on Thursday.
Appreciate that. Thank you. And Rashonda, my next question is for you. First of all, glad to see you're feeling better. And you had a bit of a breakout game of sorts. The first time you guys faced Phoenix back in June, I believe it was an 18-minute, 8.5 rebound showing out there, holding your own in the interior out there. So what do you remember about that contest? And what's the biggest takeaway what's the biggest lesson you guys could take from that game going into this crucial rematch on Thursday night?
The biggest lesson that I think that we can take from that game is to leave that game in the past, because in playoffs, it's a new season. So we have new goals and new things that we want to accomplish. But far as that, I can just take that momentum that got me to have a great game and roll into playoffs and just constantly bring in and just be there for my teammates and what coach asked of me.
And this final question is for anyone who's comfortable with answering it. You get into Phoenix today. From a player's perspective, can you describe how practice went today, the energy, the camaraderie? How did everything go today in your first game back, coming off the plane and immediately getting to work?
Ooh, it was hot though when we got off the plane though. It's hot. But
Yeah. Sorry. Dang.
but practice was good today. We all, you know, we had the energy, you know, even though we was kind of maybe like tired, but we still brought the energy and finish off.
Yeah, as like she said, even though everybody was tired, we pushed through. One of the things that I wrote on the board was just like pushing through. Like nobody cares if you're tired or not. All they care if you win or lose. That's all they care about. So just pushing through, but not only that, just like continue to just grow from the last game. You know, I think we had a lot of great momentum coming off the DC game, roll into playoffs, and let's go out there and do it. It's playoffs, baby.
Absolutely. Looking forward to it. Appreciate your time and insight, both of you. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you.
Thank you guys, and thanks everybody for joining. We will send a recording shortly. Thank you.